right, we're going to start it. You ready?
Ready.
And we're back. This is John.
And it's Eric.
Hey, it's Paul.
What the
Oh,
fuck,
shit.
Eric?
Sorry. He's not sitting here, so it just didn't trigger in my head.
Try it again.
All right,
fuck
do it
nuts.
over again.
Jesus. That's going to the beginning of that, right? Hey, we're back. This is John.
Hey, it's Paul.
And it's Eric.
And there's a whole bunch of people in the background. And it's What If Geeks. So Paul's dialing in remotely from parts unknown. Can you tell us where the hell you are?
I'm at the airport in Raleigh.
Nice. Yeah, so as you know from the last episode we talked about Disney Plus, and Paul was not here. He's in Raleigh. And now we are going to jump into The Mandalorian, and he, right in between podcasts, was like, I just watched it and I want to talk. So here he is. So I know we have a basic outline here that we were going to talk about here, so we'll see if, since Paul's kind of got it now, we'll figure out if we can kind of not fuck this up. So go ahead, Eric. Go for it.
All right, so we'll do the super quick rundown before we say anything.
Yeah, because he's only got like 15 minutes.
Mandalorian series dropped on November 12th, written created by Jon Favreau, directed by Dave Filoni, or this episode anyway. He may come back to direct another one, but they're going to have different directors for each episode is the plan. This sadly only ran 39 minutes. I thought they were going to be hour-long episodes, but apparently
it was much quicker.
It's
because it said like an hour.
Hour minus time for commercials that aren't there or something.
Yeah, apparently.
I'm not sure. So I looked right before the podcast, and we had 90% for critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and 93% for user reviews. So
Right.
It's obviously popular, despite a few nasty reviews I saw today. It seems like it's mostly really popular.
Nice.
I think that's it. We'll start on the review from there.
So, all right. So, Paul, what'd you think? No,
First,
non-spoiler.
I thought it was awesome. I watched it on my phone because my flight was delayed, and I'm like, I should be using this time to my advantage and download the Disney app on my phone and watch the show. So I loved it on my phone. It's going to look even better when I watch it the second time on my TV. I don't think this is a spoiler, but it felt like watching a Western.
Yeah.
Like watching one of the Clint Eastwood spaghetti Western, man with no name kind of movies.
Yep.
Yeah, and actually, what I had said, I added to Eric's write-up, so we can just kind of go over that now. I left it for the end, but we can kind of, well, no, because it'll kind of be like a spoiler. So I will refer back to what you said later after you hang up.
So twice in the outline I said Wild West.
Yeah.
And then I watched this with my son today, about like 5 o'clock or whatever time it was. And he said to me, I think I wrote it here in the notes, but yeah, he said this is like a Wild West showdown. So for a kid of 9 to pick up on that, who doesn't even watch Westerns, I mean, they must have really hit that vibe.
Yeah, they nailed it. It was amazing. I loved it. There was one or two things here or there that I thought was maybe a little bit forced, but it wasn't enough to take me completely out of it, you know.
Uh-huh.
But overall, like for the first episode, for a pilot episode for a Star Wars show of something you've never tried before, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, there you go. We're just gonna, Paul. We're gonna be doing this. We're gonna kind of be like drowning you out and in because of the background noise. Or if you can tell all those stewardesses to shut up, that'd be great.
Every once in a while, there's a gate announcement. There's one right now.
Headed to Orlando. That's
my
you.
plane's here.
Hey,
I gotta get those other people off it. It only should have left like 3 hours ago. So it's still be fun.
So yeah, before we get any spoilers, definitely super Wild West feel, which was what Lucas said kind of inspired his original Star Wars films, right? Yeah. So they've definitely gotten back to this more so than any of the prequel trilogy or...
Well, all right. More to that point, that was part of what I was going to say for later. But so just the very beginning of it was what Lucas found inspiration with in the beginning was the 1958 classic from Akira Kurosawa, the Hidden Fortress. That was what Star Wars was based on. There's going to be another callback when we get into the spoilers later to another Japanese classic that I'll kind of like get into later. I don't know if Paul's going to be here or not. Or, well, on the phone. Because you're not here.
So, before we jump into the spoilers, because I know you don't have a lot of time, your initial impressions, I thought it was fucking awesome. That is exactly what I texted to John when he said, okay, that was cool. I said, fucking awesome, man.
Yeah. Seems great. And not to give away the ending, but when he figures out sort of what they're after, you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah, I did.
That was really cool.
I didn't see that coming at all. I assumed it was going to be something completely different, and I was like, what? Wait, what?
No, and I know in 2 weeks after this other one drops Friday and then whatever, when all three of us back together, we are going to have to do like a whole recap of this show in person because like it's just what we do. But we're going to have to recap every little moment in person because I like to see your faces when you react.
Well, so the second episode will drop, I think, on Friday, so we can watch that and we can do an episode recap of that, and we can go back to anything in episode 1 that we want to throw in.
So what you're saying is Tuesday I'm going to have the conference call the two of you.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Hawaii. Shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle. All right, yeah. That's probably not going to work. We'll just do it after that.
That's a big time.
Yeah.
One of us will be 6 hours. One of us will be 3 hours. That'll be tough.
I'll be pretending to work, you know. Well, we'll figure it out. I think we're just going to drop an episode next week. But we'll just recap everything that's happened when we all come back in 2 weeks.
All right. So you want to hop into spoilers then? Anything else before we get into the spoiler part?
No, I think all the actors, as far as I can tell, did a really phenomenal job. And it felt like Star Wars.
Yeah. So Pedro Pascal is the only major actor, and you actually never see him because he wears his helmet literally the entire episode. He never takes it off, so you don't even know it's him, although you can hear the voice. And all the other famous people that have been announced for this, like Gina Carano, and you don't see any of them in episode 1.
No, you do. You see one and you hear one.
Well, okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Sorry. So outside of Pedro Pascal, you hear another one, and then you see one more. And I'll be damned if that the Mythrol, the blue dude, I know him.
Yeah, that's Horatio. He's from Saturday Night Live, comedian.
Yeah.
Horatio Sands?
Yeah, Horatio Sands. There you go.
See, I knew him. Sorry,
Yeah.
Paul, you were a little low on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Horatio Sands. Yep, that's exactly what it is.
I knew it.
Yeah.
His voice and his face, every once in a while, behind the makeup, you can kind of see it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Pedro Pascal, there's...
Who else do you see? Who do you see?
Carl Weathers.
Oh, Carl Weathers. Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't say his name when I was... But you're right. Carl Weathers, yes. He is in there.
Paul, also, anytime, like, once you know you need to roll out, like, say something so we shut up. So the very beginning. All right, did you catch the very, very start, like when it says like Lucasfilm, and then you hear his little tracker, right?
Uh-huh.
And the beat goes to that red light that's going on, like all the different faces, and it's like the different droids and characters, or whatever, like within the Star Wars universe. Because you see C-3PO and a few others in there, but it's like this red strobe light that's going. It's his red light that's like blinking on them, and then it cuts right to his device, his tracker, and you see the red light. It was a kind of a nice little segue from the opening credit, I guess, to this thing.
Yeah. So where do we start? Fist fight in a bar, right? That's really where this starts off, and that's what makes it part of what makes it feel so Western, right? And it's weird. It's like there's some unwritten rule that you can't pull your gun out, and they've all got to fist fight this thing out. I mean, it happens quick, but it's just sort of like him walking in. He's like the silent stranger that walks in, and everybody's like, "What the fuck?" Like if there were spur chanking sounds, I wouldn't have been thrown off at all. You know?
No. And I love how the dude initially accused him of spilling his drink after like you clearly saw he knocked it over himself.
Yeah.
He's like, "Nah, you spilled my drink, motherfucker." Yeah,
although what's cool in that scene and the other one later on is that it's shot from inside, and you see him, the Mandalorian, silhouetted in right with the dark inside bar with the light outside. They do that in that scene, and then later on in the set when he gets the next bounty, they sort of kick the door down.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. I do like that silhouette shot of him because it does. It gives you a clear callback to Boba. So that's what kind of like that silhouette always reminds you of Boba. But of course, if you watch enough of the animated series, you know the Mandalorians are out there, so you know that they're a whole tribe of hunters. Go ahead, Eric. I know you're chomping.
I don't want to jump ahead, but rewatch this thing and jump to about 18 and a half minutes in. You want to talk about a reference to Boba? Look in the background on that scene, 18 and a half minutes in.
Okay, all right.
Pretty sure Boba Fett is standing in the background.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to see that again.
It's
what
like,
scene is that?
That's where he's going down into the Mandalorian, I don't know what that is, a little Mandalorian hideout or the armory, yeah? And so he's walking through a room and it's dark and there's like sort of fog or smoke or whatever in there. And if you look to his right-hand side, at right around the 18-and-a-half-minute mark, you will see another Mandalorian standing on the side with red, green, yellow armor. It looks like Boba Fett.
Now I'm going to go watch this again. All right. No, I'm going to watch it again. Fine.
It's only for a few seconds. It's like a hint. Like maybe it doesn't mean anything. They're just doing another throwback, but it's there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I got to check it out. Yeah, well, like I said, I don't know. I thought Boba was going to come later, but maybe. Who knows? I appreciated we're jumping around a little bit, but I appreciated, like, his look was close to Boba, but a little bit different as far as the mask went. And then when you saw, like, when he meets up with his armorer, the girl, hers is more like a gladiator kind of.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so, like, all the helmets look a little bit different, so you can tell them apart. It was kind of cool. Where are we at now?
Sorry,
you definitely see a whole.
I jumped ahead, but so
we don't have Captain Google, so he's trying to Google too.
Let's talk a little bit about throwbacks real quick, because on that very first scene in the bar fight, we have a new alien that I don't think has ever appeared in the Star Wars universe before, the blue dude, which is apparently called a mithril according to the credits. If you watch the credits, you can pick up a lot of information.
Is that his name or is that the species?
Yeah, like it says unidentified mithril or something.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Right? Yeah, because they never say his name.
Yeah, that's apparently a species. I also, the tentacle squid face, which we've seen in all the prequel trilogies.
Yeah, the Quarrens.
Yeah, the Quarrens. Yeah, and they're in all the prequel trilogies. They're in the Clone Wars. They apparently came from the same homeworld as the Mon Calamari.
Yes, they do. And I had his figure.
So
Return of the Jedi.
Again, throwing back to other series, you will see in this episode when you watch it, you will see stuff from the Ewok Adventure, straight to TV series.
Yep.
You will see stuff from the original trilogy and Clone Wars and Rebels and Resistance. There's
a lot of shit thrown in here.
Many things thrown in here that are just little nods to other stuff. But
yeah, so now, since we're talking Easter eggs and nods and shit like that, and we'll get into them as we go, but for anyone listening, go on our website when we drop this, and we'll have to come up with an article again.
Yeah.
I say we, I mean Eric. But we're going to have to come up with something about Mandalorian, and then come in and comment here or in email. Let us know, or on Facebook, let us know the Easter eggs that you caught within this show. Just the pilot episode, because there was a lot.
Yeah, we'll try to cover some of them. So as soon as the bar fight's over and he gets the blue guy, which is his bounty, he goes outside and he meets Kubaz, the long-nosed thing from the bar in A New Hope.
Yeah.
With the long
that
snout
was the one that was tracking.
And he's calling the taxis or some shit.
And he was the one that...
Yeah. Like an Uber driver. He calls for the car.
Yeah.
So the Mandalorian doesn't like it, so he calls for another one.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah, no droids.
Yep, no droids. So he has some weird thing against droids, which I want to get to later, but I think they were trying to set something up for the IG-11, which I very much doubt is over, even though he shot him.
Oh, yeah, no.
I won't spoil yet.
Nice.
We already did spoiler alerts.
Oh, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just spoiler alerts.
We already did spoiler alerts.
We can never... everything from now on is spoiler. We're done. Because we can't keep spoilers for ourselves. Yeah, the whole taxi thing was cool. But before that... No. Yeah, all right. So they do the taxi thing. He calls the taxi with a little flute. That kind of fucked me up a little bit because it was kind of like... It was almost too quick. Like, it was like kind of cramming it in there. That was one of those scenes that kind of almost took me out of it. Because, like, I guess if you play this flute often, It just seemed like too fake.
Yeah. Like there's a guy standing out in the snow.
Yeah, and he hears this thing. Whatever. It was weird. It was cool, but it was weird. So the droid comes up as an R2 unit. Nope, don't want that one. And then they bring in the dude, and it's Brian Posehn.
Yeah,
the comedian.
It is Brian Posehn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fucking amazing. So, like, as soon as he pulled up, I was like, "Shut the fuck up! This show is going to be amazing." Because every nerd, I'm pretty sure we got signed on for episode 5. like every nerd is coming in for the show. So yeah, he shows up. He drives them out to the ship, and the whole time the blue guy is doing what he does. Right, he's trying to barter his way out of this scenario because he's got credits and he wants out. So go ahead, Paul. What did you think? Keep going.
No, I just thought that was really cool. I'm also interested to see what the backstory is on why he doesn't like droids.
Yeah.
And if they bring back the other bounty droid, which is in a lot of the artwork at the end.
Yeah, that's
the Mandalorian and that droid.
I put that in the notes. Yeah, like in the credit scenes or whatever, they have artwork and it shows him with IG-11 in one of the scenes.
Well, plus it's voiced by Taika Waititi.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I mean,
which
you don't waste.
You wouldn't bring in for one episode, I suppose.
Yeah. Although I guess
he has other role on the show. So
and plus he's got very big ties with Disney and Marvel and all that shit. So I mean, I guess you can call in favors too, which would be cool if they start calling in favors like that. That'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, so. Him as IG-11, we'll get into that later, but he was really cool.
Yeah, so then they show up at the ship, because that's what they were calling the cab for, a ship in the middle of nowhere, apparently. I'm with you that it was a little bit forced, maybe, but I appreciated the throwback anyway. But then they add a brand new monster thing in this, and I'm not really sure.
Well, they added a brand new ship too, as far as I knew.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen his ship before.
No, I haven't seen that ship before either.
Drop Paul down again.
And it looks like a total junker. And even the blue guy says something like, "No, let me hire. I'll
charter a cruiser.
Charter a cruiser to get us back.
We're gonna go hang out with Mickey just to get to the bounty."
Start boarding the plane, so I gotta roll.
All right, Paul. Well, we're gonna take a break then,
Thanks
dude.
for letting me call in.
No, well, thank you for calling in your own show. We love you, brother. We'll talk to you later.
All right, man. See y'all.
Later. Okay. All right. So Paul had to leave us. Sorry, Paul. Safe flight. We'll see you soon. Or no, we won't.
Or no, actually, we won't.
Yeah, we're not going to.
See you in a couple weeks.
Paul. Yeah, Jesus. We're not going to be together in a couple weeks. All right, back to business at hand. Mandalorian, let's go.
All right, so we were just talking about he just taken the taxi, and so he got to a ship I don't think we've seen before.
Right, that's what I was saying before Paul left.
It looks like an old junker. It's sort of reminiscent. Not. It doesn't look anything like the Falcon, but the way they did it, where it's
beat up like the
beat
Falcon,
up and looks like it's had some mods to it and had some work done on it, and
I would agree to that. Yeah,
and the guy reacts to it like everybody reacts to the Falcon in the original, like, oh no, you're kidding me, no.
Yeah, yeah. He wants to buy. He wants to rent a cruise ship, basically. Right. Like, if I'm gonna go, let me go in style, kind of thing. So all right, so they get on there and. It's funny because Brian Posehn's character says, this is what leading into what you were saying. Mm-hmm. We get a new creature. Yeah, he's like, hey, it's time to go because he had been looking.
He's like, stay off the ice. My recommendation is stay off the ice. Or
yeah, because he had been looking in his little binoculars for what the fuck did he call him? Because the blue guy called him almost like a Rancor, but a Ragnar or some shit. Whatever.
I don't know.
Something with an R. Everything in Star Wars named with an R lately. All the big monsters. So he pulls away. He's like, settle up. Let's go. Mandalorian pays him. Boom. Gone. He's flying down the ice on his little speeder. And this thing comes out of the ice. And eats him.
And his speeder.
Everything. Both. Yeah. Done. So Brian Posehn's gone. Sorry. And then, of course, oh shit. Get on the ship. Yeah. The ice starts breaking, the thing comes toward them, and right as they get on the ship, this thing breaks out, and it's a gigantic fucking walrus.
Yeah, it looks like a mutated.
It's like a walrus hippo.
It's like walrus. A walrus would look like in Silent Hill.
Yeah. That was my first thing. I was like, a fucking walrus hippo type of thing just attacked them. I was like, yeah. So yeah, a Silent Hill walrus attacks him, and attacks. He looked like Walrus Man in was it Ninja Turtles?
Oh
the
yeah.
big no Thundercats.
Thundercats.
Yeah, it looked like Walrus Man if he was an actual big walrus. Just fucking jumps out of the ice and like clamps onto the landing gear of the ship. That's how big this thing is. And of course, so the one dude is shitting himself, and the Mandalorian is just like, pre-flight check.
Yeah.
Gonna get everything done, ready to go, and then that's where you see.
And then he grabs that iconic weapon, which they introduced in the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yes, which we will get back to later on in this podcast, because we are definitely going to dive into that one. He gets this thing, so apparently it's like a shock type of weapon, right? So like he gets this thing, he jumps.
It seems to be both a shock
It's
weapon
multiple.
and a blaster rifle.
Yeah,
with a scope on it.
It's a lot of shit at once, which is kind of really weird. But he uses the front prongs to shock the hell out of this thing, like almost like a taser. Mm-hmm. So maybe those prongs are a taser, and then it's a taser bayonet kind of thing. Yeah. So the prongs are a taser. He tases the fuck out of this thing. It drops into the ice, and then they take off. Right. So now I'll let you lead into the rest of this, but I'll skip 2 scenes ahead and say this is your first reference to a bathroom in Star Wars.
Yeah. I think it is the first reference. So
you're on the ship.
So the Mithril, played by Horatio Sands. What the hell is
Sands. Horatio Sands.
Played by Horatio Sands, starts pretending like he has to go to the bathroom because he's going to try to find some way out of this place. And so he goes downstairs. He starts punching numbers on a keypad. He opens up the Mandalorian's arsenal, and he's like, "Oh fuck!" And he closes it back up.
Which I thought was really weird. While he shut
if you
that,
wanted a way out, grab one of those weapons.
Yeah,
but the guy's obviously a pacifist.
He's a chicken shit. Yeah.
Anyway, so they.
I'm sorry, politically
correct. They do show a bathroom.
Because he says he has to go to the bathroom,
yeah.
And if you've never seen one of his species go, you're in for a treat, kind of thing, which is funny.
And then he says it's going to take me a long time because I'm molting.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on there.
I don't know either.
But he's buying himself time to explore. He didn't say go to the
bathroom. He said evacuating his thorax.
Well, it's a vac tube. Yeah, because it's a vac tube, not a toilet. And he's going to evacuate his thorax, which, okay, fine. Whatever. So basically he's got to take a piss. And he's buying this time to try to figure out a way to get away from the Mandalorian, right? And he's talking out loud to him like he's going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And this is the next callback that I guess I'll jump. I wrote this at the very bottom. As he goes down the ship, after he shuts the armory down, what's the next thing he finds?
You're talking about the hanging carbonite.
The hanging one after another of people in carbonite.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like going by them and looking, and he's talking, he's going, and this is why I say this is kind of like, it jumps a little bit in what I wanted to talk about, but we can get into it later. This sets up my why the hell did this get made episode for the holidays when we're going to do the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Mm-hmm.
It sets the Holiday Special up as canon because he says, I was kind of hoping, like just in his banter, he's like, I was kind of hoping to get home for Life Day, spend the day with my family. You never heard Life Day other than the Holiday Special.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're making that canon.
So we have the bounty weapons stolen from there,
from the Holiday Special, and Life Day.
The Life Day, and then much later on, it isn't Holiday Special, but you're going to get a reference to the Ewoks Adventure.
Yes, so like they're making all of this shit canon, which is amazing.
In a way, I feel like they're borrowing. They're borrowing from Legends stuff,
and plus I do want to caveat this with, there's a lot of shit within here and within like the Marvel stuff or all these, any kind of geek genre type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If they try to do a callback just to go, oh, look at this cute little nod we do, everybody wants to find a way to make it canon. So you got to kind of calm down a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
But there is that little bit of this where you have the opportunity to kind of play around with this shit a little bit. They could make it canon, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, it could just be nods to all this shit. But he does say he wants to go to his family, and that was that was a really cool scene because he's like looking at all these shits and you don't see the Mandalorian behind him.
No.
Right up until he says, "I guess I'm not going to make it this year," and then and then like the camera pans just a little bit and you see the Mandalorian right next to him. He's like, "Not this time," or whatever, or it doesn't look like it, or whatever he says, and he freezes his ass in carbonite too. It was great.
Yep. So I mean, the carbonite itself is a throwback, right? We haven't seen that forever. We haven't seen.
Yeah, that's since Empire.
Yeah, OT, ESB, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So definitely some more throwbacks there. So he's on his way to take this guy to like this bounty hunter. And by the way, I won't keep repeating this, but they keep going to different planets, and we have no fucking clue where they are at all.
Right.
And it's like they seem like familiar places. Like the first place they were at seems like Hoth, maybe very snowy ice planet kind of thing. It's not Hoth. I'm pretty sure it's not Hoth, but it just looks that way.
Well, it kind of calls back to like what you, the three of us talked about before, where like Star Wars seems to have like an entire planet of this.
Yeah.
And like Jakku and Tatooine are both desert planets. Like
single biome.
There's no other biome in this. So I don't know.
And they're going to go to a desert planet.
The whole planet did seem very frosty.
Yeah, and then later they'll go to a desert planet. Don't know which one. Is it Jakku? Is it Tatooine? Is it Dantooine? Who knows? Who knows what it is?
Oh, when we get there, I would say Tatooine, though.
It looks so much like...
Are we there yet?
We'll get to it. No, we're not there.
Okay.
So he goes to yet another planet that we don't know to meet with the Bounty Hunter Guild. Now, I'll assume that's the Mandalorian's planet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing. The Bounty Hunters Guild's there. There's other Mandalorians there. That's got to be Mandalore, right? That I would assume. But so he meets with Greef Karga, who is the Bounty Hunter Guild leader. That's played by Carl Weathers, which you mentioned is the one other famous person we get to see here.
I do want to make a side note, only because I don't really know where it falls into here. But there are 2 or 3 times after you see Carl Weathers where maybe it's like when the ship is moving or when they're riding the Blurg, whatever, right?
Yeah, the Blurgs.
There's a couple of scenes in here where the music... And you note this, it's not necessarily Star Wars, but I turned to Heather when we were watching it and I said, does this like remind you of Rocky? It's very much a Rocky montage, like like kind of. I was like, am I getting pumped up or something? What the fuck's going on? But go ahead, all right. Just because Apollo's in it.
Just amusing. He comes into Greef Karga and he drops the trackers on the table or whatever. And Karga says
there's
to him,
a lot of them.
Did you catch them all? I felt like, is that a Pokemon reference?
Mm-hmm.
Disney doesn't own Pokemon, but he just said, did you catch them all? Like, is that a Pokemon? I don't know.
Had he dropped 151 on there, that would have been funny. But no, because he drops a whole bunch of bounties on there.
Yeah, well, you saw he had
quite a few.
He had at least 4 people in Carbonite in his ship.
Yeah, so
and then he put a 5th one in.
So for the first time to see that kind of shit in Star Wars, where you see him like racking up bounties as he's going, which would make sense. So, like if you're going here, you're gonna hit this one, hit that one, boom, 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 and then come back and collect all your bounty. All right, cool. Yeah, it was kind of cool to watch.
So he's coming back to collect his bounty from Greef Karga, and the guy tries to give him Empire credits, and this is the point where
Imperial credits,
timing. If you didn't already know, because everybody's told you, but he's trying to give him Imperial credits, and he's like,
after
"Don't you know the Empire has fallen?" I'm not taking that shit. But this is we've already said this multiple times, but it's between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So it happens in between there. The Empire has fallen. The First Order has not yet risen. So anyway, the guy tries to give him Empire credits, and he's like, no, F off, I'm not taking that. And then he gives him something else. I don't remember what the hell it was. But
it's just something about the calamari
some other kind of currency anyway.
It is definitely calamari. He said I can pay the first half in calamari, whatever,
He's
which
like, I
would
can
be
only give you half now.
Admiral Akbar's kind of planet.
And he's like, okay, fine, I'll take it. And so then he offers him, so he offers him a bunch of bounties, and the guy's like, yeah, I'll take them all. The Mandalorian's like, I'll take them all, and he's like, no, this is all we have for the whole guild. And he's like, well, which one pays the highest? And then he brings up this mysterious bounty that's been around for 50 years. There's no what the hell do they call those things? Puck.
There's no bounty puck, because when you get the bounty puck, you get like a little hologram pops up with the guy's face and his ID and all his info. Yeah. So you don't get all that.
And then there's no I want to say blockchain, but that's not the word.
I can't remember the name they use, but basically like they have very little info on whatever they're hunting. Yeah. So then, but he tells him, "You're the one that can do this if you're going to do it."
And then he gives him this chip card, which is just he has to take to another place to get in to actually figure out what this bounty is,
which essentially sets up the whole series.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
all right. Up until that point, I said, "Oh, okay. I see what the series is going to be. Is going to be him going place to place to try to figure out who this bounty is." That's what I thought, which would have been cool.
Yeah, I thought he was going to spend time tracking the bounty down.
And we will get to the point where they turn that completely on my fucking head.
Yeah, and we'll get there. We don't even spoil it yet.
No.
So he goes off to meet.
But we are in spoiler territory, so fuck you.
He goes off to another. I think it's another planet. Is it another planet he goes to?
Yeah.
Yep. And to meet somebody else. To find out about this bounty, and again another throwback. There's the eyeball droid thing that pops out
from Jabba's palace.
Jabba's palace, yeah. So it's not exactly the same. It's a smaller one, but it's the same concept. Pops out of the door and reads his chip card and then lets him in. And so he goes inside, and then I was really...
Which I wonder if that's like a standard security thing for some of these. You know what I mean?
Maybe it is.
It's like their own ADT.
I skipped over this. The bar fight in the beginning...
It's Star Wars ADT. Sorry, go ahead.
The bar fight in the beginning, the trawler or whatever, the humanoid guy that's talking shit to him about spilling a drink, he's speaking Huttese.
Yeah.
Wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
They're obviously not on... Tatooine.
Yeah, no. Well, there's plenty of people that know different languages. I mean,
it's just weird that
Han understands
that you
Wookiee.
would pick that language to go talk around to everybody. And
he's a dirty guy.
And then other people in the bar are translating it like, "Oh, he said you spilled his drink." And
but Hutts are known gangsters.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's probably.
I guess this is all Outer Rim area.
It's
likely,
probably like business savvy to speak Huttese a little bit. Yeah. He probably spoke it with like a southern twang or some shit.
So anyway,
there was a yawl in there somewhere.
So anyway, I was really thrown off because he goes inside this place and there's a bunch of fucking stormtroopers, but they're like all fucked up. Their armor's like dirty as shit, and it's got holes in it. And
why?
I don't.
Empire's fallen.
Is that?
Yeah.
Did they just steal stormtrooper armor, or do they have something to do with the Empire? Because that's what I couldn't figure out.
All right. What happens if an Empire falls? Some of those guys are going to go rogue and become mercenaries, right?
Yeah, sure.
They could be a handful of stormtroopers that were like, they were one squad. I said, fuck this. We're stuck on this planet. We have no way out of here. We're just going to make money how we can. And they band together. And they're working for that dude.
But then, so they introduced this doctor, and they're trying to scrape up a bounty for him. It was really weird. I'm not sure what the hell was going on there. I couldn't figure out if the guy that was...
I think I missed the doctor, dude.
Oh, the guy they brought in with the scientist or whatever.
Well, they brought him in. No, he came in because he works with that dude.
Yeah, and when the Mandalorian almost shot him.
Yeah. And then, so they weren't scripting a bounty for him.
Well, no, because when the guy's explaining the bounty to him, and at the very end he says dead or alive, the other guy turns to him and said that's not what we agreed on.
Because the doctor wants whatever the bounty is, spoiler later, alive.
But for him to say that's not what we agreed on makes me think that's his bounty, that he basically started this thing off and he wants the prize.
Yeah, well, I don't think... No, I think... All right, here, think of any... All right, the scientist does not have any kind of power.
No, of course
He just wants to study something, right?
Yeah.
Now, later you're going to get to the point where you find out what's going on. That makes total sense. There's something there that he wants to study. He aligns himself with this dude. What's his name? You had it written down here. The guy who's providing the bounty with the stormtroopers.
I remember his name.
Yeah, what's his face? So,
well, Grief
nice
Karga
segue.
gives him the bounty in
Right,
the beginning.
okay, yeah,
but this new guy,
the guy that he
guy,
meets with,
I don't know his name.
It might have been an article I was reading. Anyway, sorry, my bad. So the scientist gets with the old guy and the stormtroopers to get, because he doesn't have the power to do it. He's trying to find this, whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So
maybe.
that's kind of like because you see that a lot in movies where you see like the weak science type of guy.
Yeah.
That's like just with an army dude to try to gain some power and help out, whatever. But he's got his own agenda. He wants whatever the bounty is alive. This guy's like, hey, I just want it dead or alive. I'm just being pragmatic, is what he says.
Yeah.
And it's fun because it makes sense. Because, he says bounty hunting is a messy profession.
Yeah,
So.
and this guy clearly wants the Mandalorian to do this job for whatever reason, because he offers him a down payment before he even goes, which is this block of Beskar steel or whatever.
That's because the Mandalorians have a reputation.
Yeah.
They're the best bounty hunters in the world, in the galaxy.
You may make that assumption, but you don't know if he doesn't know the Mandalorian or know something about him or...
Mm-mm. Well, yeah, true. You could find that out later that he knows more. But overall, if you just go in as a vague Star Wars fan, the Mandalorians are good bounty hunters, yada, 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 whatever. So if you get one that's going to come in and do a job for you, I know what you're worth. But then now, like you said, the Beskar steel is specific to the Mandalorians.
Yes. And he even makes a comment as the Mandalorian's walking out about how it would be nice to get the planet back in order or something. Like, he knows something about the Mandalorians.
Get everything back in order.
He has an idea what the Mandalorians are all about.
Because the chunk, well, it's not a chunk because it's refined, or it's shaped into something by the...
Yeah, it's like a block with Imperial, like that logo.
The
Imperial
their
logo
signal
on the bottom corner, yeah.
So he's got more of it, and he wants to give it all to him. And he knows that the steel... And that's what I was telling Heather. I said, if I remember correctly, that steel is what they try to make their armor out of.
Yeah.
And that's what he does with it.
Yeah.
As he goes to the armorer next.
Yeah.
So I think I might be right. If I'm wrong, somebody comment and tell me. Cause some of this other shit gets out of my way.
So yeah, the next thing he does is go meet that mysterious armorer, right? So he goes back to Mandalore, and he goes through this thing, and this is the point where, I'm telling you, 1832, remember this time, or 1830. Watch that. In the background, I'm telling you, Boba Fett is standing back there. It's like a cloudy, dark...
You said that was under...
I put it in the wrong place.
Oh, okay.
Ignore me. See, on my sheet, I've
got
got arrows saying, no,
You
that
fixed
actually
it.
happened here.
All right, never mind.
Yeah, so that was when he starts to go down to see the armorer. That's where it's at. Again, 18 and a half minutes. Forget what scene it's part of. 18 and a half minutes.
Which would make a sense. Make a sense. Which would make a sense.
It make a sense, huh? So anyway, he brings that bar of Beskar steel to the armorer,
yeah. And this is the point where I was like, I mentioned earlier, where the face masks of their helmets, or the helmets overall, where you can still tell they're Mandalorian, they're all unique, which was like really, like I really appreciated that part. Because I'm not I'm not studied in the Clone Wars cartoons and all that stuff where you've seen them before. I don't always know if it's kind of standard now, canon.
Yeah, I'm not.
But that was cool.
That manipulation of her mask,
because she looked like a gladiator.
Not normal, exactly. Yeah, exactly what she looks like. Something from Gladiator.
Because he's. I'd have to go back and look at Boba, but he is very close to Boba Fett.
No, Boba, Jango, and the Mandalorian. It's different colors. It's the same. It's the same. Helmet.
Okay, yeah. So unless maybe it's only because unless it's not a class thing, but a job.
Maybe.
Like, this is your rating.
So
you're an armorer, so...
I don't know much about Mandalorians, but they introduce some things in this scene that give you an idea of what it's about.
We're opening a whole bunch of different, lore.
Yeah, I think so, because she says it's good to have that steel back. It seems like a relatively small bar, to be honest, but she's like, he gives the whole thing to her. And
but she can make a lot out of it.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, all this extra is really going to help out the tribe or whatever. What she says is going to help out with the foundlings. Yeah, and then he says, I was a foundling once. And you get a super quick flashback scene.
Well, it's multiple flash shots as she's making his... Because she's replacing his shoulder
She's
guard.
giving him a new one.
Yeah.
Because he's already got one on one side. He doesn't have one on the other.
Yeah, so she's giving him a new one.
Yeah.
And while she's making it, you get all these flash shots of him as a kid, essentially. And it looks like his parents are under fire and they hide him.
There's a B-2 battle droid in the background in one scene, which implies it's trade war time frame. Although it could be anything, but given that he's a little kid at that point, that's perfect timing for it to be about the galactic trade war, and maybe the
depending on how old he is here.
Yeah, maybe the Trade Federation invaded Mandalore and somehow beat them. I don't know. Maybe that's why he hates droids. Or
flip it. He's a foundling. What if the foundlings are orphans that the Mandalorians found?
That could be.
And brought into their, what I mean? Like he could.
Yeah. So from what
that's what I think.
From what I understand, Mandalorian isn't a race. I understand it's on Mandalore, but any race.
It's closer to a religion.
Species
I think.
Could have been part of the Mandalorian tribe. It doesn't matter. What they
it's a tribe. It's more of a closer.
Well, there are multiple tribes.
Closer to a religion type of thing, where
a way of living, I guess, is probably the better way to put it.
They're the whisperers of the bounty hunters. Oh wow, okay.
But so anyway, she says a pauldron's in order, and she makes him the pauldron out of the thing, and then she says to him, "Has your signet been revealed?" And he says, "Not yet," implying that that's going to mean something and it's going to be revealed. So my question here
she said that when she was starting to melt the thing down.
Yeah.
I thought she was making his symbol.
Well, I did too at first, and then afterwards I thought, it is.
I know I'm ignorant.
And afterwards I thought, well, maybe she was going to put it on the pauldron, because if you see, if you've seen Mandalorians in anything, some of them have like a symbol on their pauldron,
Boba Fett's,
including Boba Fett.
Got that skull-looking thing that.
Yeah, it looks like some kind of.
You even see it in Force Awakens
or something.
Yeah, you see it in Force Awakens, so you see his.
So maybe that's the signet. I thought that symbol was for like tribe leaders or something, but it may not be that. I may have just made that up. So maybe the signet
could be
has
each
something
one has
to do.
one.
It's like it's your spirit animal.
It's kind of like when you're playing Call of Duty or Gears of War, you pick your own little symbol.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe that's it. And she was going to put it on his pauldron, but she said it hasn't been revealed yet. And she says, "Okay, soon you'll figure it out."
Yeah.
And so, jumping off the episode for a second, if you look through all the trailers again, I think we talked about this before, but his armor changes throughout the trailers. So
we did talk about that.
It's giving you a sort of a precursor to what we now know is going to happen, which is he's going to get rewarded with this special medal, and he's going to get new armor made out of this.
That's what I said to Heather. He's going to keep on upgrading his armor.
It'll be a progression. Be cool. Yeah, it's like an RPG. In the series, you upgrade your armor and weapons, right? Okay, so anyway, then he jumps to yet another desert planet to go hunt down this bounty. So he knows what planet it's on, but he knows what planet it's on, the bounty, but he doesn't have any idea where the hell it is on that planet. So he's kind of pissed about, like, that's all you can give me?
Yeah, all we know is the bounty is 50 years old.
Yep.
And
it pays a high price.
Location, and there's a high price for it. Sure.
Yep. So and that the guy who gave him not Grief Karga, but the other guy that gave him the actual bounty wants the bounty dead, whereas
he just wants it, and the scientist wants it
alive. Yeah. So anyway, he gets on this planet. First thing that happens is a blurg comes and attacks him. So if you don't know what a blurg is, it's never been in a movie, but it's been in the Ewok Adventures. It's a TV
it was
series.
First seen in the 80s, Battle for Endor.
Yeah, it was claymation, like stop action claymation shit at that point.
Yeah, now it's CGI, but
it's been in TCW, the Clone Wars and Rebels since then.
I missed it. But it was a cool scene because you see him a little vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's like the thing, because he's scanning, but it was also a callback to Luke in A New Hope, scanning through his binoculars, and then all of a sudden like there's one of the Tusken Raiders right above him. You know that. This thing is like all of a sudden right in front of his face.
Yeah.
Because it looks like he sees the babies off in the distance, and then all of a sudden this thing is like right in his face.
And so, you got another. They've already given you this once, but whatever that armor is made of, that Beskar steel or whatever, it's some serious shit because he actually gets shot with blasters earlier, and they just freaking bounce right off of him.
Yeah.
And now he's getting attacked by this blurg, which is like, I don't know, like
a
2-ton walking piranha.
A piranha combined with a tadpole.
Yeah,
because he's not.
Really
he's got
weird.
a long tail.
Yeah,
he's
two
not
little
quite
legs.
So he's almost like a tadpole, almost to a frog.
But it's got this
gigantic teeth.
Yeah, mouth full of teeth and big old mouth, and he bites him. But he doesn't actually make it through the Mandalorian's armor. He fucks it up. You can see that his what is that called? Forearm guard.
Yeah, he gets one arm and then he gets the other one.
Yeah, you can see that it's messed up afterwards, but he doesn't get it. But so then somebody comes and effectively rescues him. He probably could have died
as he's fighting it, you see a tranquilizer dart hit it.
Yeah,
and at first you think maybe he did it, but then you realize that he looks up. There's a second one coming at him.
Yeah,
and another tranq dart hits that one, and then the rescuer rides up on another one.
Yeah. And so we finally get to see Nick Nolte's character.
And it's a fucking Ugnaught.
I'll be goddamn if it doesn't look like him, though.
It does.
It's so close. It's ridiculous.
I think we vaguely, briefly spoke about this with Paul.
Yeah.
When, like, right before this launch, we were like, last week or whatever, we were talking about it. I said, Nick Nolte is playing an Ugnaught, and I'm all in. Holy shit, am I all in. I don't know how they're going to bring him into more of the fold, because it's kind of a passing thing.
He's listed on IMDb on like 7 of the 8 episodes.
So obviously it's one of those where he joins, like, I think the Mandalorian is going to wind up building a
rapport with him or whatever.
Yeah, he's going to build a gang. Yeah.
And include this old Ugnaught?
Nick Nolte's Ugnaught, Gina Carano, etc. IG-11, which is where, again, we get into the comedy relief that we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah.
But so Ugnaught Nick Nolte comes in, and the minute he started talking, I started giggling.
Yeah.
And then Heather looked at me, and I said, "Do you know who that is?" And she was like, I said, "Nick Nolte." And she said, "Oh my God, I hear it." Because like you can just tell it's him.
Yeah, you really can. So anyway, he goes back with the Ugnaught to his I don't know, camp or whatever, and the Ugnaught's going to help him find this bounty. He knows where it is. A bunch of people have come before the Mandalorian, and he tells them they've all died. And the Mandalorian's like, "Shit, I don't want your help then." But he's like, "Yeah, you do. You'll never find him otherwise." And so the first thing he does is tell him, you got to learn to ride a blurg. And he's like, "No." Like, I'm not learning to ride a blurg. And he says something to him like, your people rode mythosaurs or something like that, right? Like, this blurg will be easy for you.
Now, I think that's a callback to the holiday special, too.
I don't remember that.
There was, in the cartoon part where Boba Fett is introduced, he's writing something. And I think that might be that callback.
Yeah, it could be. We'll have to rewatch it. We can't rewatch it because I didn't put it on Disney Plus.
We'll have to Google. I'll find it.
So
we're going to anyway.
So anyway, again, another Wild West throwback here. He tells him he's got to learn to ride the blurg. He's sort of like in this little stable area. He's riding it. It's like a wild bull or a bucking bronco, and it throws him off several times.
I was watching City Slickers.
Right? It's right back to the Wild West. And I actually love that. I love them for doing these very obvious sort of patronage to the old Wild West stuff. And it's really fun. Good. And it fits very well with the bounty hunter Mandalorian storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the point.
There's only one that's going to fit better, and we'll get to that when we get to the end.
Yeah, this is the point where my kid said to me, because I watched with my son, this is the point where he said to me, this is like a Wild West showdown. He's never watched a Western in his life. But that's how much they made it feel like a Western, where he just like had enough of a concept to say, okay.
Nice.
All right, so he learns to ride the blurg, and then he goes to collect the bounty. Nick Nolte's guy tells him where to find it.
And that's where I was like, is this Rocky? 'Cause
yeah.
they were like, it was literally like that. Dun, 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 and they're riding the blurgs, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because it was the first time where the music was not quite like Star Wars, which is fine, but it was just so much like Rocky that it made me laugh. I was like, this is kind of weird. A little weird.
So he shows up there, he's like looking over the top of a rock, and he sees this fucking bounty hunter droid, and it's already there, and it's already starting to kill people, and he's like, damn droids or whatever.
And the first thing you think of is IG-88 from Empire Strikes Back and from the expanded universe or Legends or whatever.
But this is IG-11, which the way they've done this is, well, interesting, because they used IG-11 like the comic relief for the show, but they did it in a way where he's not making jokes. He's like a rigid programmed robot that can only do certain things, and then they're using that as like
the punchlines are kind of around him.
Yeah.
Well, they did the same thing in Rogue One with K2SO.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
where it was like, you shot me. You couldn't know that was not me. that kind of like, just that he would just state the obvious and just kind of roll with it. But you mentioned here like his when they meet, when you first see him, like, I'm going to skip a little bit, but the articulation that he does.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The spinning and
the way
everything.
he, spins really fast and shoots, it
makes you appreciate how good of an assassin droid he could be.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. He's shooting guys behind him, in front of him, to the left, to the right, two at a time, up, down. His head's spinning the whole... His head actually
He's got servos all over his body.
His head has, two different points of
articulation.
So there's, eyes going everywhere. It's spinning around, and...
Yeah.
It's
so
crazy.
He'll lock on to somebody else, and then his torso spin to shoot him is fucking amazing.
Yeah, they did really well. I mean, he feels
Which is exactly how I pictured him when I read the expanded universe shit.
He seems he's very robotic in his movements. It's almost like watching somebody do a robot.
Because there's one spot in there where you see him getting ready to go step up, and he stops.
Oh yeah, when he's walking over the door.
Yeah, and then he goes and he steps slowly, but then everything else is like, it's funny as shit.
I really like the way they've done him. I'm gonna self-destruct thing. They played it out a little too much. I was like,
too much,
Jesus
but
Christ.
but at the same time, it was funny because he was like, all right, well, if this is the end of my mission, I'm going to self-destruct and take whoever I can with me.
He essentially takes the role of C-3PO in the original trilogy. Like, no C-3PO, we're not going to do that. From no, that's ridiculous. Stop being retarded.
If he self-destructs, he takes a whole bunch of people with him, and the Mandalorian's like, no, I've got a way out of this. Just kind of wait. That's the kind of vibe you get there.
So anyway, the two eventually win.
And they are part of the same guild.
Yeah, they're part of the same guild.
We skipped that part. But if you look at IG-11, he's wearing something that when they cut to the Mandalorian, the color scheme kind of matches. Almost like they're telling you, like when he says,
I didn't pay attention.
We're part of the, almost when he's like, I'm part of the same guild.
Yeah.
There's something that IG-88 has got draped on him that looks like
IG-11. You just called him IG-88.
I did. Oh, he's going to be mad at me. IG-11's got draped on him. It looks similar to the Mandalorian.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you gotta look at
they're clearly part of the same guild, though.
There was just
he says that,
a color scheme kind of thing.
And IG-11's like, okay. After he shoots him. And again, it just bounces right off of him.
Yeah, no, his armor's amazing.
Yeah. So better than any
Which
Stormtrooper
speaks
armor.
to all of my arguments about Boba Fett coming out of the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
See?
So they go do this bounty together. There's a little bit of humor in the Wild West shootout that they basically do on this, where the guys are like hiding behind pillars and popping out to shoot people.
Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid kind of vibe going on. Yeah.
And then the guy comes out with effectively the Gatling gun.
Do you remember where that was from? They set it up in Empire on Hoth.
Oh, yeah.
Because you had those satellite dish-looking things, and then you had that. They were shooting at something. Yeah, they set that thing up. And, they come out with that, and they start, blasting at him.
Yeah.
So they find their way out of that. IG-11 distracts him. Mandalorian jumps in, whatever. Shoots the dude, takes over the gun, kills everybody.
Yeah.
Awesome scene.
Annihilates them. He does like a 360 spin and blows everybody on the rooftop, everything.
Awesome scene. And then they're like, all right, we know the bounty's in there. We got to open that door. And then they both look at that door.
They both look at the gun.
The gun.
Yeah.
Duh.
And so they cut it down like a Jedi with a lightsaber.
It's like you just see blaster shots into the door from the inside.
Yeah.
And then the door caves in. That's the second shot you get that we talked about earlier.
Yep.
Of when the thing drops, you see IG-11 and Mandalorian silhouetted to the backdrop of the sun or whatever. And it looks cool as shit.
Yeah.
And then they get in there. And this is get ready to wrap up this episode too.
Yeah.
Because they go in and here's your 50-year-old bounty.
Yeah, so there's one guy inside. He shoots him real quick. He's like, anybody else? Just more of the comedy relief
talking
stuff,
shit. Just like, is there anybody else I got to kill?
You almost got your ass whooped, but now you're like, anybody else? Else? Okay.
Yeah,
but I think it's great.
He's a smug asshole.
Yeah. But so then they go.
They get up and there's this.
Yeah. They don't know where the bounty is. They're like, it's somewhere in here. I detect life signs, and he's got that.
And there's an
that
egg
tracker,
looking thing.
And it's pointing towards this sphere.
It's an egg looking.
Oh, yeah, egg. Ovoid, that's called.
Yeah, there you go. Sure, that'll work. Holy shit!
A 3D oval.
7 different levels. So it opens.
Yeah, and what do we see inside? Well, what do we call it?
All right. Because we do not know the name of the species.
Is the suspense killing you yet?
Yeah, I think so. We don't know the name of the species, but when this thing opens up, it's essentially a bassinet, 50 years old, but it's a bassinet for a baby of Yoda's species.
Yes.
So whatever the fuck he is, there's a baby in there. And I'm going to caveat all of this before we get into the rest of this shit. It's now November. If there is not a baby Yoda species little thing doll that Disney comes out with for Christmas, I'm going to fucking riot. Because, you know what? Screw my kids. I want one of these damn things. This thing was the most adorable fucking thing I've seen in like 5 years.
Yeah.
It was amazing. That thing opened up and I was like, fuck you. I have prided myself on calling a lot of dumb shit that's gone on in a lot of shows that we've watched. I did not see that shit coming at all. That popped up and I was like, fuck, really? You just see like, it pans over, the blanket kind of falls a little bit, and you see the ears.
Yeah.
And you're like, shut up, look how adorable that thing is. And, all right, go ahead. So now
so this is his 50-year-old bounty.
Because they paused.
So.
The 50-year-old bounty, which makes sense because when you remember Yoda, at 900-year-old, at 900 years old, as good you will not look, whatever the fuck it says, right? So the fact that it takes him like 50 years just to get out of infanthood, sorry, it kind of sucks, but yeah, I guess it makes sense. 50 of your years is nothing to us, whatever.
It makes sense why his species is gone. Because imagine if you had to take care of your children for 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
Would all three have made it then? Well, you don't even know
yet. No. Yeah, we're still waiting. The jury's still out on that one. So you're right. You're right. Good point.
But, so we've heard for a long time that Lucas put Yoda's species off limit. And there was never allowed to be any extended universe content about them.
And here the hell it is.
Any shows about them. Of
course, because in the prequels you had Yaddle.
That was the only one, which Lucas sanctioned and created.
I'm sorry, that was dumb.
And
there was a very brief thing with her in an expanded universe thing that she disappeared in. That was dumb.
So either he gave up, or Disney doesn't give a shit because they own it now. They're going to explore.
It might be a little bit of both.
This, and I think this was the big. So Disney said they had a big reveal for the first episode that they didn't tell anybody. We had no idea what it was. I'm pretty sure this is it, and I think.
Well, I mean, holy shit! I mean, all right. Going into this thing, right? Because what did we all think? We thought this is going to be a story about
I thought it was
bounty hunter,
him getting the Moff from the previous empire that had collapsed.
Right?
Giancarlo Esposito's character would be in
he's
going
to be doing some shit about like attacking different things, whether or not he's good or bad, blah blah blah, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then this is going to go into my other theory. Is right up until the very end, you think he's just going after these bounties for whatever, and there's going to be a whole survival story of this dude, and then whether or not you find out if he's good or bad, or you're going to eventually cheer for the guy, right? You knew that much because it's the Mandalorian. But you don't know where he sits. And then you get to this point, and the thing opens up, and you realize that your 50-year-old bounty is this baby. And he pauses. And then IG-11 was like, nope, it's terminate. Because the Mandalorian was told dead or alive. Then IG-11 was like, nope, order is terminate. Points his gun, you hear the blast, and IG-11 drops. Yep. And you realize the Mandalorian shot him.
Yep.
We'll go side note on that. I'm sure he's going to be perfectly fine later.
I think he's coming back. You can't give that character up. You can't kill your comic relief in episode 1.
He's going to come back, and how many times he's going to call back to "You shot me"?
Yeah,
okay?
Probably.
Yeah, it's going to come back a lot in this series. You shot me, you asshole. That's going to come back. But now you get he's standing there over the bassinet. He shot the droid. And it's just him and his baby. And they kind of reach to each other real quick. And that's the end of the episode. That tells you what you need to know already about this character, right?
Yeah.
He's got that soft spot. So what we said earlier about like how it had that Wild West feel or whatever, what I wrote was the initial thing we were talking about earlier was George Lucas found inspiration in the Akira Kurosawa, Kurosawa's The Hidden King Fortress, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very appropriate that Favreau kind of turned it, and now this seems more like another Japanese classic, Lone Wolf and Cub kind of thing. So, which is there's been a few takes on that I remember seeing in comics and stuff. But you're gonna have like a Lone Wolf and Yoda Cub kind of thing going on.
Maybe that could be interesting.
I think that's kind of because they even did it in X-Men, where there was an X-Men, there was a mutant named Hope that was born, and Cable wound up protecting her from whatever, and he was literally like running around with her like in a bassinet or in a what do you call them? The jumper.
I'm sure it won't be like that.
No, but it'd be close because she was like in that thing, and then like she would get encased in armors or she wouldn't get shot, and he'd be running. But she was in his little Bajorn kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I guarantee at some point you're going to see the Mandalorian run around with a Bajorn, Yoda, whatever. But yeah, I think we're going to go where he's got to save this thing.
Well, yeah, so I think this is the big reveal because on top of whatever the storyline holds for the two of them, I think they're going to reveal to you something about Yoda's species and where it came from and what the fuck happened to them.
I wouldn't mind. I mean, all right, flip it back to DC where I did not want the Joker thing. I wouldn't mind this because like you already at least established there's a Yaddle that was dumb. I mean, Lucas just did it, do it. But if you do it properly, it'd be fun.
Well, I have no idea what they'll do, but
because obviously he's got a species. I mean, it's not just one, two of them.
So here's an interesting.
It's Yoda's great grandkid. Holy shit!
Here's an interesting concept. So in Last Jedi, where they show 3 different versions of Luke and Ben Kenobi.
Ben Solo. You're welcome.
And Ben Solo.
3 different
one where he
visions.
doesn't pull out a lightsaber, one where he does, and one where he's about to actually kill him, right? And those were all different perspectives. They could tell...
That was the his, hers, and the truth kind of
and
thing.
Everybody only remembers the one where he looks like he's going to kill him, and they all bitch that Luke Skywalker would never do that. Well, you forgot there was one where he doesn't even pull out the lightsaber.
Right.
So you don't know what the real truth is. But anyway, they could do some of that with the Yoda thing. Like they could tease things to say like, a person could say, hey, this is what I know about that species, but you don't know if that's true. That's just what the person says. And fans will latch onto it and they'll be assholes about it and say, that's fucking canon now. But it's not necessarily. You could do it in a way where I know a lot of people don't want to know about Yoda and they just want to leave it alone and just let him be like the mysterious creature that became one of the most powerful Force users ever. But you could do this in a way where you don't actually make it a hard truth, but you give an idea of.
Well, not every one of them is a force. Well,
no. Well, we don't know.
Not every one of them is a force user, but
the only two we've seen are
the only two we've seen are very powerful Jedi. So what if that specific species is very susceptible to the force? Right? Would make sense why the scientist wants to study it, and the dude wants it dead.
Yeah.
Would make sense.
Could.
Or he doesn't necessarily want it dead. He just doesn't care if you bring it back dead or alive.
Whatever,
Yeah. But the fact that now he's got this baby, he's got to figure out. But like you said, if it's 50, it puts his birth around the time of Anakin.
Yeah, if he's 50 years old, it'd be right around the time of Skywalker. So
what the fuck was Yoda doing?
I'm not throwing this out there as a theory or anything.
See, Yoda and Yaddle, because Yaddle ran off in the expanded universe.
That's one theory. Another one is this would have been Clone Wars time frame. Yoda could have been cloned.
Yeah, and they haven't messed around with the clones too much.
Although the clones had accelerated growth, except Jango Fett.
Right. Yeah.
Was normal.
Give me one.
So you can apparently make a clone that just grows at normal.
The only other time you see it is more expanded universe with the Emperor until December, and we figure out what the fuck's going on there.
I mean, this could even go further to say the Emperor did something and
made another Yoda.
Yeah, just like he tried to manipulate the Force to make another Anakin to fulfill a prophecy.
Right.
I mean, he could have done the same thing with Yoda's species. He could have done the same thing with multiple. Who knows? I'm not putting these out as theories. These are all far fetched. I'm just saying these are all things that are going to end up on the internet.
In the very first day that this came out, that we have to sit back, take a breather. Thank God you're going to be gone next week, so we can like assess Friday and kind of play around with it. So that there's a lot to digest in this one episode. It was amazing, but so you know what? Fuck it. Let's just end it right there.
Yeah, let's do that.
We have no idea what the fuck this is, where it's going, but let us know if you've watched it, because if you haven't and you're still listening, duh. Hopefully you've watched it.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Hopefully you've watched it. Hopefully Paul's flight is going well. And hit us up. Let us know what you think of The Mandalorian, what your theories are. And then when we reconvene in a couple of weeks, we will jump into all this more fun Disney Plus shit.
We'll have 2 more episodes to watch.
I really think that we've found what we're doing our next new episode on.
I think the second episode every week is going to have to be a Mandalorian.
Holy fuck. This is going to be amazing. All right, so hit us up. Let us know what you think of whatifgeeks.com, whatifgeeks@gmail.com, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Hit us up on Facebook, because apparently Eric loves hearing from you guys. Because he's on there all the time. I really have to do something with that.
I didn't even download Twitter until a month ago, so.
Amazing. All right, guys. Hit us up. We'll talk to you soon. Good night, Mandalorian.
Good night, Pedro.